This is Growing Your Firm, the podcast for ambitious accountants and firm owners who want to work smarter, grow faster, and lead better. Hey, Growing Your Firm community, David here. Really excited to be dropping some recordings from our prior Growing Your Firm Summit. We had over 600 people register for it. It was in December last year. We're doing another one this year, but we thought, wow, there was such great content. Let's share it with the Growing Your Firm community. So this is a special content drop of some of the sessions from the Growing Your Firm Summit. Enjoy. All right. We're back. Final lightning talk before we go into the round table. So excited for this one. Dan is back. We've interviewed Dan. I've known Dan off and on for a number of years. I saw you last year at Digital in wherever that was,
Yeah,
someplace called
absolutely. Denver, right?
Denver. Yes. Snowing in Denver. I did not dress like it was December in Denver. Let's put it that way. I was wearing multiple sweatshirts. I was like, I was that person. But Dan, where are you at today? Where are you at in the world?
I'm at home today, luckily, but I'm based out of Salt Lake City, so just about 20 minutes north. So
Oh, okay. So Denver was great for you.
it's
You know,
same
that,
weather. It's really nice.
yeah, sounds good. Well, Dan knows what it takes to deliver a great client service and real growth, and that doesn't happen by accident. Dan is all about building workflows that help your firm scale smoothly and keep your team sane. And here's something that doesn't sound like it should, but it fits perfectly. You ready for this, Dan?
Let's do it.
All right. Dan actually learned how to sew in high school and still sews today. So he knows firsthand that when you stitch together the right processes with care and precision, the result really holds up. Shout out to D. I'm sure that sounds like a D line. Dan, take it away.
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Let me go ahead and share my screen so that we can just dive right into the session. So of course, I'm here to talk about workflow. That is the thing I love more than anything. We're going to talk about how you build good, solid processes and how you do it without the considerations of chaos. So a little bit about me. Of course, you learned just a minute ago that I learned to sew when I was in high school. I still do it today. My wife gives me crap about it, but all my kids do it too. So it's great from that side. But outside of those things, I'm a partner at a firm called Ignite Spot Accounting. We primarily focus on building workflows and financial systems for our clients so that they can be able to see and have better visualization and make better decisions with their financial information. We've been in business for 18 years, and it's been a blast working with the firm. But as I mentioned before, let's really dive into the next piece, which is let's dive into the nitty gritty. What is the heavy cost of a broken workflow for us? Not only does it create inefficiencies for you and for me and for our customers, but it also creates oftentimes a huge amount of chaos, not knowing where things are being tracked, not understanding or knowing where some potential hidden rework is going to happen. All of those items can create issues where it ultimately creates an erosion in confidence, not only with our customers, but with our teams as well. It also can cause levels of burnout. Meaning from that perspective, if we're going back and forth with our team all the time or with our clients on a regular basis, asking for the same bits of information, it can create limitations. It can create a huge amount of issues for everybody from that side as well. And so that creates one of those areas where we have to be paying special attention to what's going on with it. And we have to make sure that we're really seeking to understand how we can benefit our clients. So let's dive into how we can kind of help it. This is how we start with our firm. We look at it from a kind of a three-step perspective. Everything starts in a workflow, of course, when it comes to building it. So let's consider it also from that same space. The first piece in that step is to define what is it that we are trying to accomplish. Are we trying to serve financial statements to our clients? Are we trying to gather information to be able to process bills? What is it that we're trying to do? And we have to be very detailed with that. It can't be a situation where we're coming in and saying, I just want to deliver good quality books. Well, that's great, but there's so many processes and so many pieces that come into that we want to make sure that we're really looking at the detail of what's happening. The next piece with that, of course, is documentation. We want to talk and we want to look at what the details are and what information we're gathering in order to be able to go through that process. Now, oftentimes when we hear about documentation, our team feels like, or we feel like that this is just a huge amount of bureaucracy. There's so much detail that we're having to do. It's so someone can replace my job or something along those lines. When in reality, documentation is a great way for us to not only gather information together, but see where there's actual holes in the system that we're doing. See where there's manual processes, see where we're missing information or where we're having to go through multiple times to gather data from our customers. Each of those kind of situations are something that's really critical for us to be paying special attention to so that we're not allowing ourselves to be disruptive or taken advantage of in those positions at all. Then the last piece that, of course, goes along with this is the refinement process. After we've gone through and defined what our goal in and our process is, and we've documented and we've gathered the workflow, whether that's been putting it in a spreadsheet or writing it down on paper. I love the back of napkin mindset when it comes to starting a framework of things, especially when it's my first time running through things, because it gives me the ability to do just a data dump into everything. I know a lot of people that are really big on using Miro boards and things like that, which I think are super critical for when you're doing detailed workflows. But just getting started, this is where you get a chance to now come in after you've gone through that definition and the documentation process to refine it. This is where you get to start poking holes and bringing in the rest of the people from your organization. Remember with this process though that we weren't automating until the refinement process. Oftentimes we start thinking about workflows with automation in mind first. And generally what I find, at least for myself, is when we think about automations first, we actually create more sticky points for us later on. And so if we can get it down on paper, if we can look at where the holes are, if we can visualize what potentially is happening or where we can use automations, that really starts to help us in that next step where we're actually going to start saving time and working with our clients. So let's talk about the bottleneck aspect of this and how we navigate through, of course, those pieces. As we mentioned before, we really want to take the time to identify what is really causing us to be slow, or what are the areas that are causing loopholes? What are the things that we're running into with snags with that we really need to pay special attention to? Really, are there big blockers that aren't really tasks that are causing us limitations? Is it a decision fatigue? Is it a handoff consideration? What are those things that we really need to be paying special attention to? The next thing, of course, that we need to be looking at is the assessing process, which is why is this even happening? What's going on with this? Did we miss something in the communication with the client? Was this something that missed from when we first started, or was this something that we're missing as a part of our interaction now? Do we need to go back and restate? Do we need to look at a better way to gather information? Years ago, and I love sharing this example, years ago when we first started using technology as a big part of what we do, we had a lot of different places for our clients to provide documentation to us. And what I mean by that is we were collecting bills or receipts from our clients. We were using Dropbox. We were using Google Drive for some of our clients. We had different apps like Bill or even QBO. We had tools like Dext and Divi and all these different kind of places where customers could provide information to us. And the reality of it is we had given them too many options. Now, giving them too many options wasn't a bad situation when we first initially started. What we were intending to do was try to meet our clients where they were at. But it also created confusion for our team in that process because we didn't do a good job documenting what each client was looking at or how they were interacting with us. And so when we transitioned from one to another, we didn't have really good scalable processes, or we didn't have good documentation on how to help us navigate through it. So that's where we came to that assessment period where we started to look at the detail of that. We end up finding as a part of our assessment too, that some of our clients weren't using any of those processes. They weren't using some of the tools that we had provided to them, or they didn't like using some of the file drive systems that we're using. And we were able to actually eliminate some of those potential extra steps for some of our clients or consolidate. And that gave us the ability to create more efficiency, which of course is the simplification process. What are things that we can clarify? What are things that we can remove out of our workflow so that we can be able to help navigate these things for our clients? What are the things that we can do also for our team when it comes to communication that will help us break down some of the extra things that are going on? When it comes to simplifying, one of the things that I like to really emphasize as well with this too is there's a lot of times where we've spent a lot of money and resources on buying apps to be the best possible solution for us. We're buying best of breed, we're piggybacking multiple on top of each other in order to try to help us to provide the best possible product. And what we find in a lot of situations with that is we only end up using the application for 20 to 30% of what it can do. And we also put our teams in a position or our clients in a position where they have to go to multiple places to navigate through that process. And so by identifying and assessing the situation and the circumstances of what you're doing, we then can come in and simplify those workflows, which then give us the ability to do automations. It gives us the ability to then reduce the amount of error. It gives us the ability then to create efficiencies and, of course, create better workflow and better control for you and your clients. Now, of course, in this process, as I've navigated or talked through it, oftentimes we think of all of the really big things that we want to tackle. How do we get into a situation to where we can save 100 hours a year or 10 hours a month or things along those lines? And the reality of it though is if we're saving 15 minutes a day, we end up saving just over an hour in a given week, which ends up saving us 52 to 55 hours in a given year. That's a huge amount of time savings when we start thinking about some of those little things that we can do to adjust. Also, when we start small, when we start navigating through that process and we start simple, it gives us the ability then to build on top of that. It gives us the ability to then piggyback on the rest of our workflow and create a more streamlined system for us to navigate through. It also gives us the ability to then go back and re-audit those systems that we've created and that documentation and that detail in order to be able to make sure that it aligns with the vision and the direction that we're trying to provide services for our clients with. Now, of course, with all of this, it gives us the ability at last to act. How can we create or make those adjustments to be able to impact our clients? And by going through this process of review and audit and then realigning everything for ourselves, it gives us the ability then to create that next step, to be able to navigate through it. It gives us the ability then to also understand where potentially tools that we're using are being limited by what we're navigating through. A good example of this, and I'll start, I think this is really helpful, at least it was helpful for me as we started navigating through, was when it came to our contract management and our billing process for our organization. We were using 3 different apps and platforms in order to be able to send contracts, get things signed from our clients, and then, of course, even collect payment. And in a lot of cases, all of those platforms had not only subscription fees that were associated with them, but they had additional, oftentimes transactional costs that associated with each of those. So one of the things that we found as a part of that is we were trying to not only use these platforms, but we needed them to push information into other systems so that we can remove the manual amount of work that we're doing. And so our sales team was using HubSpot to track all of our deals and leads. We were then using tools like PandaDoc or DocuSign in order to be able to send proposals and get things signed. And then we were sending out payment collection authorization forms and either uploading that into a tool like Bill or into QuickBooks in order to be able to try to collect payment. And then there was reminders on top of that. And there was all these extra steps. Well, we haven't even talked about the integration or connection with our project management tool. And so we had created a huge amount of extra steps for us and our firm to be able to work through just onboarding a client and navigating with it. And so a few years ago, when we were going through this process, we were doing some research and we looked at a tool called Anchor. Anchor was one of those tools that was very relatively new at the time, but they provided a way for us to consolidate a lot of those tools together into one single platform. It gave us the ability to then look at how are we providing documentation or contract details to our clients. It gave us the ability to not only review all of the extra information that was happening, but also to be able to make sure that it was communicating with those other platforms and tools that we're using. So still to this day, we're using that tool to help cut down on inefficiencies that we're navigating through. And it created a lot of opportunity for us to also create more simplistic experiences for our clients. And it created a centralized place for our data to be stored and keep us with PCI compliance. So, in kind of summary for everybody with this process, I want to make sure, of course, that I highlight specifically this slide for everybody because I think this is one of the most important slides to be thinking about that we just went through. It starts by looking at and identifying specifically what's causing us the areas that are slowing us down. We then need to assess why those things are happening. What is it that we can do to improve our workflows overall, to create the changes that we need to? Then we get to dive into the simplification process. Remember, we haven't automated through these first three steps. The automation comes after we've navigated through each of those steps. Then we get the ability to then create those efficiencies and that clarification for our clients and for our team. I hope this was super helpful. I do want to open it up for some questions and some Q&A. I know that there's plenty of people that have questions out there for sure for me.
All right. So we did have a hand raiser. I think it was from Jennifer. If you can type your questions in the chat and let us know. Dan, really appreciate you coming on. Oh, I had the hand raised. Where'd they go? It pops up, it goes away. So go ahead and type in your question. We'll go ahead and be pulling these off. Dan, I have a quick question to get things started.
Please.
As you're running through that feedback cycle, I mean, is this something you're doing organically as it arises, or is there a fixed schedule? Are you looking at this monthly and kind of pulling up like what's next or quarterly, and what does that look like?
Yeah, definitely. I love that question. We do it on different phases for different types of things. When it comes to our large organizational workflows, like which process management tools we're using, which systems we're using, how we're navigating through that, we don't process those big type of tools or look at those every single month because generally we have long-term commitments, but also we don't want to disrupt the core workflow of what our team are doing or how they're navigating through it. Project management tools can often be one of the most difficult things to transition and one of the longest tools to retrain people on. So that's not one that we kind of pick short paths with, but interacting with clients is one of those areas that we work on all the time. We're always touching base with our clients regarding that. We're always diving deep into it. We even have a Slack channel in our company that we post questions or problems that are arising, and we have people give feedback to it in order to try to help in just certain situations where it's, hey, I think this is taking me a little longer than it should. Can someone throw some eyes at it to give me an opinion on what you think works best and how we can navigate through it?
Yeah, I love that. All right, the questions are coming in. I'm gonna just grab them as they come in. Luke asked, "Do you require your clients to use certain software like general ledgers, bill pay, expense management to help standardize your workflows internally?"
Oh, that's a great question. I would say yes. Holistically, we give our clients really one of two options or one of three options with the tools we work with when it comes with payroll. We can't force them all into the same tool because they're not all created equal in what they're doing, but we do give them two or three options for them to be able to select that we will navigate and work with. It doesn't mean that they can't use other tools. It just means that we won't work within those tools. Like we'll make the connection work, but oftentimes, like for payroll, we recommend Rippling, Gusto, or ADP because our system and our team is trained specifically around those. Bill pay, it's bill.com and Ramp. Those are the two that we suggest to all of our clients.
Cool, awesome. Victoria asked, "How do you implement the changes that you saw were needed at your firm?"
Ooh, really, really good question. One of the biggest pieces how we do it honestly is we take the time, me and our director of accounting services, and we document that information. We go through that steps and process that I just mentioned, which is what is the issues and problems we're running through. We then do the full analysis, and then we actually create small test environments within our organization that allow us to be able to test each of the different areas we're going through. I don't live in client work every single day. I talk about it all the time, but I don't live in clients' books every day. And so we use our team to be those guinea pigs and help meets for us, and also, of course, give us feedback to make sure that when we release a whole system to everybody, that it's really clear. If it's a big adjustment for everybody, it's regular training for a period of time in order to navigate through it. It's one of those things where we want to make sure that they have as much information at the beginning as they can before we start pushing through the tools so that it doesn't disrupt their daily workflows as much as possible.
Yep, makes sense. Mike Chafee asked, And let me make sure I'm getting your question right, Mike. So you said, so make our tech stack wider instead of higher, question with more apps. Are you, go ahead. Do you get what he's saying?
Yeah, I think there's a couple things to consider with this one. How to make it to where it's not, maybe potentially we're not using so many tools, or maybe from this perspective that we're using different levels of what's going on with tools. If I'm wrong on that, Michael, please throw some more context in there. For us specifically, we went the path for a really long time, which is there's really great tools out there. Let's try to find the tools that give us the best quality situation that we're looking for. This could be a solution, specifically like a bill pay solution. Hey, bill is going to give us this best option. Let's push all of our clients into that avenue. What we were finding as we were navigating through that process with our clients is someone had a bad experience. Maybe it didn't provide them with fast enough bill pay solutions. Maybe it was a limitation for their team in order to be able to provide documents to it fast enough. Maybe there wasn't enough people on their team to really need that level of detail within their workflow. And so we were finding in that position that it didn't make sense for us to only offer one solution. And oftentimes it may have been cost prohibitive for some of our clients to push them into those software applications. We didn't want to take on the cost because then it would impact, of course, the fees that we were charging our clients. And so we started looking at other tools to help give them similar type experiences, and having the UI in a lot of cases, or the intent of the platforms being very similar. It gave our team the ability to still be able to navigate through both of them, but gave our clients now options to be able to work through as well. I would say if you're a smaller team, simplify your tech stack as much as you can if your clients will allow. For me, we have a team of 20 people that are in our organization. Most of them have worked with each other for several years now. And so, from that perspective, we can add additional tools and resources on as we go through because they're very confident and comfortable with each of those pieces. But we also don't trial new tools with everybody. We really pick one or two specific people before we start pushing things out to make sure that it can be adopted widely within our organization.
Awesome. Final question, Charmaine. How do you create workflows that win without adding to your tech stack?
Ooh, that's a really good question. I think I actually love today now more than ever. And what I mean by that is technology has changed so rapidly in the last 6 to 12 months that a lot of the applications we're working with are creating what we call as, of course, as open APIs, or they're creating connections that allow us to be able to push and pull information from them into other systems. And so instead of us having to have two tools to be able to do certain things together, we can get one tool that does most things, and then it pushes the rest of the information into another platform for us to do what we need to do in there. Also, just the direct connections is a big piece. The example that I recommended or talked about before with our contracts and invoicing and payments piece, forever, most people were using two or three tools to navigate through. And it wasn't until recently, in the last probably 4 to 5 years, that we started seeing tools that were all in one that cut down that workflow for you. And so technology changing is going to help with that process, but also really understanding what your workflow is and what you really need to get out of it is a critical component with that as well, too.
I love it. Everybody say thank you to Dan. Dan, this has been a real treat. Love the practicality you bring to the conversation. Dee's going to drop in the speaker profile in the screen. Um, Before we dive into our giveaways, just a quick shout out to our sponsors, Jetpack Workflow, Growing Your Firm podcast. I mean, go listen to the Growing Your Firm podcast. It's free. It's been around forever. OnPay, we heard from Valerie around the HR and payroll services. Anchor, we just talked about, Dan even mentioned with billing and engagement management, actually finance for nonprofit grant management and reporting and budgeting, and Vinyl, your meeting transcription note-taking tool. So be sure to check out our sponsors. That said, let's dive in. Let's dive into some giveaways. Dee, are you ready for this? I think the first one's going to be the Kick Cast subscription giveaway, valued at $500. Can we get a little drum roll, please? And let's select our winner. This is like first of what, 3 giveaways we're doing? I
Yeah,
guess 4.
yeah. We need a bigger drum. It's
We need a drum. We need a drum. There we go. Thank you, Lauren. Yeah.
thank you, Lauren. Okay, it still says it's confirming, so I'm gonna wait for it to do what it needs to do. And what is the next one that we're going to
We're
offer?
going to do the Amazon gift card from Justine Lackey at the Incubator. I believe that's a $100 Amazon gift card.
It is. This is amazing. Amazon is not going out of business.
They're not. And if you're an Amazon shopper like I am, you've noticed that the shipping times are increasing. So they must be they must be doing a lot
Ooh,
of business because they take that stuff seriously. And then
Mark, we've got Mark for Amazon. I've got that.
or is
Mark
there oh,
Mihok.
all right, congrats, Mark. Congrats. The Kick Cast, is that still loading?
It is honestly still loading. Oh,
All
here we
right. And
go. It's finished. Craig Mitchell.
Greg Mitchell, congratulations.
Yeah.
Give us like a little high five, a little fist bump, whatever icon you can in the chat to know that you're here. And then last but not least, we have two. Jackie Meyer was on the Seven Figure Firm panel earlier, and she pulled up a manuscript of her book and said, "Oh yeah, I'll give away a couple copies." So we have what, 2 copies to give away right now, right?
Yeah, which will make four. So a
Okay, great.
couple.
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay, and the winners for those ones, we got two. It's pulling up. We've got Bobby Sparks
congrats,
and
Bobby.
Carmela Jonah.
I love it. Congratulations, congratulations.
Woo!
And you know what? One more giveaway. We have one more giveaway, right? So we're
A
next up.
big one.
A big one. We're going into this
Yeah.
roundtable with Dan Hood from Accounting Today, Randy Crabtree from Tri-Merit and the Bridging the Gap Conference, and Jen Wilson. And as part of that, we're doing a giveaway ticket for the Bridging the Gap Conference. So there we go. We're going to dive into that one. It's the final one. We're going to have 10 minutes to actually get a cup of water, breathe, stretch, whatever you need to do before we go into this. It's going to be a really fun roundtable about the future of the profession. We're going to touch on many different topics. It's a great group, and we have one more giveaway left. So per usual, it's a different Zoom room, Zoom link per talk. So be sure you have the right one going into it. If you do not have the link, if you're confused, you have questions, D drops a link into the chat. We're also here if you ever need to email us, events@jetpackworkflow.com. If you have questions around the giveaway, everything should be automated, but you know life happens, things happen. And if anything's missed or if you have questions, reach out to us. That's it. We have one more giveaway, one more roundtable. Let's lock in our learnings and make the most of our final session here together. I'll see everybody in 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Thank you all.